Hey everyone, this is Sergey and Vadim from Revs.in, back this week talking about how to tell your boss when you think that they're wrong. It's something that's not very natural for most of us, I would say, and we thought it would be a little bit helpful to give you guys some pointers how you might approach this type of a problem.
So of course the worst thing you could do when you're telling somebody that they're wrong is to flat out say so and hope that they're going to change their opinion. If anyone has ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the biggest takeaways from that book is that you need to be more diplomatic about how you approach people. And we're going to go through some of those concepts. So there's four main topics we're going to cover here. How to focus on the consequences of what you're trying to accomplish. How to cite what somebody taught you in the past when you're trying to tell them that maybe their opinion is incorrect. The third thing is questions that you can ask them to lead them to discover themselves what the alternate opinion might be. And lastly, actually offering them a solution as opposed to just plainly telling them that they're wrong.
As Vadim mentioned, telling somebody flat out they're wrong usually doesn't accomplish much. Most people are not motivated when they're told they're wrong, and automatically we get this defense mechanism that we're going to defend our ideas no matter what when somebody's calling us out. So this is not a good approach. What we really want to do is focus on the consequences, especially when you're dealing with a leader or a manager. If they're an effective leader, they're going to appreciate when you focus on either the negative consequences of a wrong decision or the positive consequences of alternative decisions. So you want to come with some ways and methods that you can address certain negative consequences instead of flat out telling to the person, you know what, you're wrong about this decision. You might want to say, this decision I think might have XYZ negative consequence, so can we try to find alternatives?
Another thing that you could do when you're trying to offer a different opinion that goes against what, let's say, your boss might think is by prefacing it with why you came to your conclusion based on something that they may have taught you in the past. So you might start the conversation saying, you know what, I'm actually thinking about this particular topic a little bit differently now because of something that you told me a few months ago in a meeting. So here's my perspective. And that way, you know, you're letting them know that you're not just blindly giving your opinion on a particular topic because they're wrong, but actually you're doing it because of something that they taught you directly. So you're more likely to get them to change their mind as well because now they're going to be feeling like they're coming from a perspective of authority. Another thing that you can do is actually a technique that's used in sales a lot, which is asking the prospect a lot of questions to try to get them to come to the pain that they're experiencing themselves so that then you can nicely talk about how your solution solves that particular pain. So in this case, you may want to ask them questions about, let's say, okay, you know, I'm thinking of something else right here, but honestly, like, what do you think is more important, let's say? Is it the brand or is it the immediate revenue opportunity? And if you know in advance that the answer is, let's say, the brand because the CEO is very focused on the brand, then it's more likely to nudge that person into discovering that alternative opinion themselves so that, you know, they're more likely to support it because they thought of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The last thing, and probably one of the more important things that we want to discuss here is you need to be a problem solver in this person's eyes instead of somebody that just tries to poke holes in everybody's ideas. If you're known as that kind of person, the person that poke holes, typically people are not really going to listen to you when you actually do potentially have good suggestions. And so you always want to offer a solution, especially when you're dealing with leaders. They will appreciate you more when you come to them with specific, well thought out solutions to an existing problem if you think they might be wrong. And a solution is not enough, though. You want to point to them how you can actually help execute so that you can take some of that, some of the pain of solving this problem away from that person. A lot of times, they'll just let you run with it in the end of it. And so, Vadim, can you run through again the 4 points that we mentioned?
Sure. So focusing on the consequences of a particular decision is one. Two is actually citing something that they may have taught you in the past that is affecting your decision. Three is actually asking them questions that will help lead them to discover the alternative opinion themselves. And then lastly, as opposed to just attacking them, offering a very specific solution to show that you actually thought through it. In the end of the day, guys, this is all about being diplomatic. If you want somebody to change their mind, you can't just tell them your opinion and hope that they're going to agree with you. More often than not, that's just going to make them stick to their own guns even harder than they did before. So think about how somebody thinks. Think about how somebody's approaching you when they're telling you they're wrong and what methods may have been more effective than others.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot.